Hello, welcome back to another stream. Welcome back to. Yep, the mic does work. I was just double checking that you could definitely hear it back on Twitch, because yesterday was having some problems with the mic where it just decided not to work. The software just kept crashing, but in the end it played ball. So what I've been doing is I've just done just before I started the stream, I did a little work on the player controller, and I did in fact convert it to use a rigid body how I wanted to do it before. I've just obviously disabled gravity and done the freezing of the rotation on the z-axis, where I completely forgot about the whole constraints thing, and to be honest with you, I didn't really looking into setting it up properly when I originally tried to do it. So I've done that instead of translates using proper rigid body. I figured that was the best way to do it, because it would and actually, even with this fix, we don't actually need the rotation offset in there now. If I did rotation offset, what would that actually do? Nothing. So I don't need rotation offset in there now. Rigid body just fixes it anyway, so that's pretty awesome. If I so basically I've made a list of things I want to do. So here I've created an Evernote little sheet here, Evernote Essentials, that can go away. So a little to-do list. I've put in the existing stuff we've done. So we've built the world generation engine, we've built a system for growing crops and generating them onto blocks, we've added our basic player movement in there, we've separated the world generation and rendering systems into the two separate functions so that they happen independent of each other, and we've expanded the world gen to handle dynamic blocks, which is what we did last night. So I don't know if I'll do everything on this stream, because I'll be streaming tomorrow as well, and hopefully Sunday as well. So I want to fix the player diagonal rotation. I've got an idea in my head of how to do that, and hopefully it should just be a fairly simple few lines of code. I want to make a proper camera follow system, so rather than just attaching the camera as as a child of the actual player object, it's completely separate, it has its own follow code. Again, I've got an idea of how to build that. I want to do the rotation, so rather than rotating the world, I'm going to rotate the camera around the player. I think that makes more sense. We're going to want to implement the click to unlock world chunks, and I've decided that the chunks are going to be 2x2 blocks, so 4. So we can work on that as well. I'm going to build a structure system, so that's for placing, which will come into the bottom one, add starting house / structure, barn, whatever we want to call it. So a system where we've got the ability to now put crops onto blocks, so let's do the same with structures. So those are things I want to do at the moment, and obviously one thing we want to do as well is proper graphics. So we can do those proper graphics and textures. So let's get on with let's do the first two, so the player rotation and the camera follow. Sorry if I just hit the mic. So what I'm hoping to fix the player rotation is I'm hoping to basically do this. So if input dot get axes raw, vertical is greater than 1, and input dot key got get axes raw horizontal is greater than 1, greater than 0 I should say. Then we want to set rotation to this is going to be the minus 45 is going to be half of that, which is 22.5, so 22.5. And let's see if that works. In fact, and then we can put an else if on here. So hopefully that will work. Where is my timestamps? That it does. Cool. So just to make sure, I'm also going to do debug.log, and I'm going to put v, which is going to be to input.get axis raw, and then vertical, and then h, which is going to be output axis raw horizontal. I'm going to do this just so I can make sure that I've definitely got the right numbers. So 1, 1, they should both be 1, minus 1, 1, 1. In fact, we're better off putting these as the first set of if statements, because those are going to be overriding everything else. That's what's happening, I think. So that. There we go. So we should have that. Sweet. So now we can basically just do the same. We can just go if many times. I'm sure there's a better way of doing this than just lots of if statements, but hey. We can tidy code up later on. Else if is less than 0, and if it's less than 0 but greater than 1, then we're moving down. So we want to be 90 plus 22 and a half, which is 112 and a half, right? If it's well, I suppose thinking about it, yeah, so if we do that 112, then if we do greater than 0 but less than 0 on that, we're going that way, so we want to do 22 and a half. If it's less than 0 but greater than 0, we're going to that, yep. And then if it's less than 0 and less than 0 there, then we want it to be 112.5. Hopefully I've got that all right. That way, that. Wrong way. Wrong way. Just double check. Definitely got the maths right, so 45 divided by 2 is 22.5. Plus that onto 90, you're looking at 112, yeah. So that's all correct now. So now we fix that movement. Cool. See, I'm still not sure about that zoom. 5. Something I wanted to do actually was go copy component and then paste as new, remove this from the world. So we fixed that, and then the camera, what I want to do is instead of world camera on here, world camera is going to be camera world camera. Well, we want private camera world camera. We don't want to delete it completely, but world camera is equal to get component camera. Oh, world. There we go. Yep. So hopefully now the camera should still work as well, which it does, and we got our proper diagonal movement going, which is awesome. Really, when you think about it, we should actually be our player should be the other way around. So if we rotate, let's just rotate our player prefab. So whoops, that's the game, not the scene. So it was our graphics, weren't it? And we rotated the model -45. Yep. If we quickly apply that to the prefab, yeah, I want ours to be facing the right way. Direction cube is off to the right, yeah, so it needs to be moved over that way, that way. Excellent. And our actual thing is not correct still. See, which means we've got to readjust all of these. There must be a better way of doing this, because we don't want to hard code the values of the numbers. We just want to rotate it around by X amount, don't we? So we want the so we're going to do float player rot y is going to be equal to, say, 0, and we're going to have an offset. So player rot offset equals -45, and then what we're going to do is down here we are going to do player.local rotation, and then we're going to chuck player rot y in equal into there, and then here what we're going to do is we're going to do player y equals well, be that minus player rot offset, and then what we can then do is in rot y, it's going to be equal to minus yeah, 45 f divided by 2. I think that's the easiest way to do it, isn't it? And then hopefully we can get rid of that. See if that works, and we can delete that prefab. We don't need that in the scene. Nice. It doesn't like rotations working at all now. Okay. There we go. It was the wrong way around. So that's that. And then we're going to do... Oh, that's the... Yeah, I know what's going on there. So it's forward. Let's just mark this as forward. I mean, we can probably do it with a combination of... There's probably some kind of mathematical, like, some sort of solution to this. Almost like that. No, because that's going to be dependent. No. Okay, so let's just do it this way for now. So forward, this is going to be player rot y. Yep, it's just going to be equal to 0. So this is backwards. Player rot y equals 180. This is left. Player rot y, yep, minus 45f. And this is right. Player rot y equals 45f. I'll have to figure out a better way of doing it. I'll probably do that off screen, I think, because I want to progress on the stream. So stuff like that where it's going to require a little bit more thinking behind it, and a bit of playing around. I think I'm going to do off stream just so it keeps it entertaining for you guys, and we get progress on the stream. I don't want to keep the stream going. I don't want it to be just an hour of me figuring that out. So we'll keep it this way for now. We've improved it a little bit by using that variable, but this is forward. Well, let's just put north, south, east, west. So north, east. This is north, west, south, east, south, west. and then y equals 90f plus f divided by 2, and then we have player rot y equals minus 90f minus 45f divided by 2. Right, let's see if that works, shall we? Oh, but it stops when we get to that. Okay. I mean, it should look a bit more rotated than that, really, shouldn't it? Or should it? I think it should definitely there. Oh no. No, it's right. Because we're rotating around that. Yeah. That's better. Yeah, that's better. Now, can we stop it when we go? Private float player y equals 0, and that way we can keep track of our last rotation. There we go. So now we've got a proper system. Let me zoom out. I want to add more zooming out as well. So we fixed that. I just need to mute a group chat. Oops. Otherwise you're going to keep getting notifications on stream. There we go. So we've got that. Focus. There we go. Do not disturb. Right. So now we've got that in place. What I want to do is we've got a camera script moving like that. Camera. I want max zoom is as 9, and what I also want to do is I want to set up another input, so 24, and this is going to be zoom max, and this is going to be end. And what this is going to do is if zoom max, then new zoom equals max zoom. So that way you can press N to go all the way out, which is a shortcut for me, but some people may want that. And of course, once we've got to a save loading system, we do that, which I will put actually. I'll create a new lift because down here, save / load level, and that will put like a big gap just to show that's like stuff later on. And then obviously we know we need a UI and stuff like that, and sounds, you know, dialogue. But now if I press end, zooms out, home goes back to that, I can zoom all the way out, and I think that's a pretty reasonable zoom. If you want to go, and then you can zoom in further if you want, but that's not really going to be, you know, we don't want a key for that. Min zoom, we'll put a 3.5, I think. Yeah, there we go. So we go all the way out, and home gets us back. There we go, I like that. So now what I want to do as well is I want to keep track I'm just trying to think. I'm going to create a tag called tag which is going to be player camera. I mean, but then we want, okay, yep. So then in our, because eventually we're going to have the two cameras, I think, to fix that, but for now we'll just create that tag, and then camera roll camera is that, and we're going to want a public transform target, and then here what we can do is, instead of setting our parent and stuff here, what we can do is we can go camera controller cam control equals camera dot main dot get component camera controller, and then cam control dot target equals player go dot transform. And then in here what we're going to do is we are going to go, we're going to have a void move. We've got the zoom camera, but let's also do void move camera, and we're going to put this in a late update, because it's better to put your camera movement in late update functions, because it's to do with the way it gets rendering in frames per second. You'll get better movement. It can cause jitter if you're doing it in fixed or normal update. So we've got late update, which it's annoying, but it's private on that. There we go. And then move camera, we want transform dot position. For now, let's just do target dot position, which will be exactly the player, which is, oh, actually that works. What's going on with because it's the rotation we've got set, isn't it? We just need a little bit up, don't we? We need a little bit. It's up, isn't it? If we put that in there, yeah. And let's do public float cam offset. We'll do y offset. Offset y, it's just equal to 5 for now. Vector 3 cam pause equals that. Cam, oopsie, pause dot y equals cam offset. Well, is it's going to be equal to cam pos y plus that. I mean, we could add two vectors. We could do it this way. So the other way would be a bit cleaner, wouldn't it? Well, no, because we're still going to need to. Oh. We'll do it this way, why not? And then cam pos. And then we should be able to adjust this on the fly. So 0.84. There we go. We've got our camera. Oh, that's what I was going to work out. We've got our light now as well, which is interesting. Why? Ooh. Ooh, let's do a 0 there. Ooh. Because that is centered, isn't it, really? Maybe we just want like a tiny bit. That's fine. We do need to adjust though. Maximize on play off. Because we've zoomed out further now. Minus, oopsie, 5, that needs to be minus 7. -10. -9, it's 10. So if we do minus the scale, so, and then in here we need the new zoom, and we also need world camera dot near clip plane is equal to minus current zoom times 2. And then as you zoom in, you know what? Let's not do that actually, because that's going to be constantly setting it, isn't it? That's going to be constantly setting it. And I want to change these around to be current zoom and then new zoom, just because I prefer reading it that way around. So that's that. New zoom, yep. Or we could do it in there, but to be honest with you, I don't think it's really going to matter. And the file we could bring right down to say, just do 5, 10, 12, 13, 15. Yeah. Might as well. I don't know how much difference that actually makes, but there we go. Okay, that's going to make a big difference. So maybe we do. Here. Then we put world camera dot near clip plane equals minus new zoom times by 2. Camera dot far clip plane equals new zoom times 4. And then we go out. You still got that all being generated. Oh, interesting. Okay, yeah, that doesn't quite work how I wanted to do, but to be fair, honestly, all we need to do is we just need to set this to like minus 20. Yeah, like, I don't know, 50 on that. There we go. Okay, so we've got that. We now have the camera following properly, which is cool. I just need to figure out what this light's doing. Because there's some weird like thing going on with the lights there. How do we get rid of that though? Because you can see it's very bright there. Because now we've got the camera like that, it's yeah, it got some weird, it's got like the light that's constantly following us. Okay, I'm not quite sure what's going on there, but we can put that on here. Fix lighting issue. But so the point is though, we have now got a camera properly following around, so we can do proper camera follow system, tick that off. Now we want to do the rotation. So it's probably better to do it in here as well. Go rotate camera and then void rotate camera, and then let's have a look in Unity at Unity, rotate camera around object. Or we want it to look at, don't we? So start, and then we want world camera to look transform dot look at target. Yep. And then this is saying to rotate around point coordinates 20 degrees per second per the speed modifier. So if input dot key down input key code dot e, so let's just manually try this for now. Dot rotate around target dot position times 2f. See what this does. So 1, we want minus, no, we want transform dot local rotation dot y, well, Euler dot y minus 45. So what if we, hang on, if we did that, what is that actually doing though? If we set it to say 50F, what's that actually rotating? So what we do the same thing we did with the zoom, don't we? We need to do basically we need to do public float rot step, which is going to be equal to 45, and then public, well, private float current rotation, private float new rotation, I guess we can do default as well, why not? And then default rot equals transform dot local rotation dot Euler y current rot equals, well, that's what we want, don't we? And that's going to be equal to current rotation and same with the new rotation is going to be equal to current, and then we're going to say basically if current, do we want to do it before or after? I guess it's fine here because we did the same thing up there, didn't we? Yeah. So if current rotation does not equal new rotation, then that's when we want to do that. And I'm guessing that's going to be new. New rotation is going to be equal to plus equals step. I spelled step wrong. So step what's that doing? It's never used that, right? Yeah. What's that doing? Whoa. Okay, that's weird. Oh no, we don't rotate around, do we? Oh no, we do want to rotate around. But we want it to rotate around and stop, don't we? We can't just do a lerp like we did with this, because our point is we're rotating around. And then private. So I guess we can do the same thing here. Public float rot speed, which is just going to be equal to 2f for now, or 5f, sure. Speed times time dot delta time. That's actually not very fast, is it? Yeah, times by 20. I can see why they did times by 20. I mean, it's the same either way, isn't it? Oh, that's why, because it's set to 2. Much better. So that's that. Now we want it to stop. Rotate around, and current rotation is equal to transform dot local rotation dot y. No. Euler. But it's not going to work though, because it's not going up in steps like that, is it? Oh. 5. Rotate around, but we want it to rotate around to a certain thing, don't we? Relative to its current rotation. There we go. Rotate camera rotate. That's what I want. Rotate around pivot point. Maps absolution. So distance pivot point. Modify that value. You specify that pivot point. Mouse position next to distance. Well, we can just do up, can't we? And then this is saying rotate around pivot point, modify that value. Math.absolute mouse position x minus distance. It doesn't indicate the current camera's current rotation. So what's he got here? So he's got distance 100. Look at, so he's looking at the target. New positions. That mouse input. That mouse is less than distance. Rotate around vector 3 mouse distance. Divided by 100. So then he's saying, if you need to rotate a point, you specify the pivot point in your rotate around method. For example, that. Rotate around target to up, and then math.absolute transform dot local rotation dot Euler, oops, y minus New rotation. Or we could do current that, I guess. No idea. Absolutely no idea. Let's just see if this works. It does. We want steps to be 90 though, don't we? Right, okay, that does work. But we want it to be... We want a nice smooth transition, don't we? This is where we use lerp. Oh no, it does work. Times by rot speed. Hey, that's exactly what I wanted. Whoa. Why does it do that? So it's when it gets back to 0, I think. So yeah, so we want to do new rotation equals mathf.clamp between 0 and I guess that, I mean, that's the same as what it's doing really, isn't it? I don't know. But we just need to say if new rotation, yeah, is greater than or equal to 360. Well, if you're starting off from 45, again, we want a rotation offset, don't we? So we want a private float rot offset 45, just to make things easier. If it's greater than 360f minus rot offset, well, plus rot offset, then new rot is equal to rot offset. And we'll probably need the same thing going the other way. There we go. And now we do the same. We can just do the same thing here. If new rot is less than or equal to that, well, not less than, but let's try it without that and see what happens. But if we do, so we want, do we have input set up for that, don't we? Project settings, input, rotate left, right, yeah. So get button down, rotate right. I guess it's more logical to do left, right. So then else, so an if input dot get button down, rotate left. Then we've got new rot minus equals rot step. And actually I'm going to set the default here to be 90, just so we don't have a Interesting in future. Tell you what, actually, rotation offset, we want to set that to our current rotation. Yeah. That's what we want to do. So that's got nothing. That works. And we'll leave default rotation in there. We can do something with that later on if we want. So now we should be able to rotate it left and right. Ooh, weird. I guess if it's minus... what? It goes that way. Goes that way. So we want, I think we want this to be the other way around, don't we? So if new rot is greater than 0, that if new rot is less than 0, well, we want vector well, what is that? It's a float, isn't it? So float r equals that, but then we'll say if it's less than 0, we want to do plus r. Do we want to invert it? Okay, not quite right. So that clearly isn't making a difference right now. Do we want to do minus r? Yes, that's what we want to do. R equals minus r. So like that. Okay, so left is not quite working right still. So that's right. See, it's fine when it goes plus, 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 I don't know, minus 135. Unless you do because minus 45 is correct. But why is it doing that? Let's change our step down to 45. I wonder if it's to do with the offset. No, because it's not doing anything with offset, is it? So if it's greater than that, let's log R, see what's going on. So E to 0. Let's go back to 90 on the steps. 0, 0, because it's current rotation minus new rotation. So if current rotation is 45, our new rotation we've just added on 90, which that's 135. That's 135. Well, current rotation was 45 minus new rotation minus that, yeah. But if we have minus, so we need to do, I think that's what we tried before, wasn't it? Plus that. No, we've gone the wrong way. New rot minus current rot. That goes down towards 0, but if we do that, I think we were definitely, no, we were definitely right before with minusing that, weren't we? Oh, we can actually do, which is the same thing, but I think it's because we're in 0, isn't it? So if we did, if new rot is less than 0, new rot is equal to 0. I think it's because it's going less than 0, it's having trouble. Take that away for a minute. -45, we should get -45. Or we get 90, 180, or go 135, 225, 315, 90. Why is that not doing anything? $45. Interesting. We only do it when we want to change it. That's what was going wrong with that. 135, 225, 315, back to 405. Right, yep. But when we go back, -45, -90. We basically just need to translate it, really, don't we, to -45, which is actually 270, isn't it? Because you would add 360, wouldn't you? So calc -45 plus 360 equals 315. Yeah, equals new. So we want to do new rot minus that, and then new rot plus 360. $315. So So would that now work there? We should go back. It's doing it, but it's going the wrong way. Minus, yeah. The hell? Oh, because it's not doing that, is it? Right, gotcha. I gotcha. It's not going the right way, is it? Because it's never going less than that. So then how do we invert that? How do we then... Because we can't invert R if it's greater than... Unless we have a ball to do, but I don't like the idea of that. I like it being based on this. Plus equals 3. Unless we do keep track of the direction. Times by rotation dir, which we do here, private float rot dir is equal to 1. So then in here we just do rot dir is equal to 1. There we do rot dir is equal to -1. Okay, so it's a bit buggy still, but we've actually got it rotating somewhat how we want. And it's a little bit skippy on the end there. I mean, if we just did that, I think that's not going to fix it, but... Or does it? Does it look less jumpy like that? No, it's still jumpy. But it doesn't want to go back. So 315. So what we want to do here is we want to do debug.log dir equals to rot dir plus rot, which equals to that. and see what that does. So let's see what that's outputting, because we know that one works. So that is 1, 225, 315, 1, back to 135, yep, 405, yep. Going back, you got 315, so then you'll be going to 225, won't you? Goes 585. But it should be hang on a minute. Yeah, it should be 225. $385. It's not right. So this is not right here, because it should be 225. So if our new rotation is, well, saying that, if our so that's 315, okay, which is our new rotation. New rotation minus 90, which becomes our 225, doesn't it? 315 minus 90 is our 225. Then we're plusing 360, and that's where we're getting 585 from. Because we could say if it's minus that and then plus 360, but we're still doing the same thing. We're still modifying that value, aren't we? But what we want to do is unless we do clever, instead of minusing and plus that, we do basically times our step, and then we can just do it based on that. Because you think about the circles, you're just going round. If we're doing, if our step is 90 and we're just adding on to our rotation, which is 2, so let's say we start off with 1 times 90 is just 90. We times it by 2, then we've got 180. Times it by 3, that's when you get the 270, and then it's 3, and then, well, no, that would be 45, wouldn't it? 90 would back up to 0. Oh no, 90 is 270. I'm getting confused here. Yeah, and then you do times the 4 by that, and if it's greater than 4, it goes back to that, or if it equals to 4, it can go to 0, or 1, I should say. But then no, you want 0. So you want it times by that minus your rotation offset, don't you? No, plus your rotation offset. So actually what you want to be doing is your new rotation is equal to so private float rot multiplier is equal to 0 by default, and what you're actually doing here is new rotation is just equal to rot multiplier times by rot step. Minus, plus your rot offset. And then what you're doing here is you're actually doing, well, you still want the rot dir, but instead of doing new rot, you want to do rot multiplier minus rot multiply plus if rot multiplier is greater than 3, then rot multiply is equal to 0. If rot multiply is less than 0, rot multiply is equal to 0. Well, that's not going to work, is it? Let's try it. Oops. Let's try it this way. Oh, rot step. Yep. And then we've still got that issue. 0. Because we want it to go the other way then, don't we? So if it's less than 0, so we say we're at well, we're at 45, which is what it is, isn't it? 0 plus that, which would give us 45. Well, at minus 45, we then rot multiply equals 3, because we want to reset it back, don't we? Hey, there we go. That's our solution. That's how we do it. We just reset it back, don't we? Use a multiply. That's because that's generally kind of your rule of thumb for circles, isn't it? You rotate around, you're just rotating, timesing by, you know, your angle, which is our step. So that makes a lot of sense, actually. Rotation dir, yeah. Offset, yeah. And then new rotation is always equal to that times that. That makes a lot of sense. And that just resets it back to 3. It's still a bit weird while we get the curiosity. Let's just set that to 4. We're going to get the same issue, aren't we? Yeah. Just double checking. Cool, so 3, there we go. That makes life easier. And now we can rotate the camera around. It's a bit jumpy from there. We'll see if we can fix that. But we should now, if we maximize this, let's say we zoom out, and we can zoom that, and we can zoom all the way in, and it works. Let's generate some world. Let's just generate lots of worlds. It'd be nice actually if I could have a button that just fills the whole world in, but hey, there we go. It's more fun this way. But now we can rotate our camera around. Whoop. Like that. I might just bring that speed down a tad. There we go. So now if we're back in, let's spawn our world again. I mean, when we zoomed out, it's going to seem faster than when we zoomed in anyway, because we're seeing a lot more of the world go past. If we zoomed right in, it's going to be even quicker, isn't it? Really? I'm happy with that though, to be fair. I'm happy with that. Okay, cool. So we just, know that for next time. We just need to think a little bit more carefully about these things, but there we go. That works. Times what step plus offset, yep. And in theory, let's say our camera was at 0 rotation offset by default, it should still work. Yeah, there you go. So it doesn't matter how our camera is rotated. Oh, bit of a weird bug there. Interesting. But we're not going to have the camera like that anyway, so it should be fine as long as it works there. We try and fix that. Be nice to try and fix what's going on there, but I think for now we've got enough to work with. So camera rotation, and let's just say fix camera rotation jump, I'm rotating back to default, I guess. So basically a full circle. So yeah, end of full circle. But that's awesome though. And let's just check that everything still works with the follow code and it all works with the rotation, etc. I like playing it, but zoomed out. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. There we go. And then Yep, it rotates no matter where we are in the world. That's so much easier than trying to rotate the world. And also it means if we're rotating the world, we're not going to potentially affect any physics objects we have in the world. If we do, I don't know if we do it, if we will. But yeah, we do want a reset rotation button though. So what button do we make that? because we do want a fifth input for rotate reset, because if you get a bit lost, you're like, oh, I'm not sure how I was rotated before, we can just do R maybe. Yeah, let's try to do R. And then we can just say else if input dot get button down dot rotate reset. I mean, we could just do, we could set we'd have to set the multiplier, wouldn't we? Multiply back to 0. Which means we don't need default rotation. So we can get rid of that. So let's say we rotate twice and then we press R, brings us back round. Whoop. Yeah, so if we get a bit lost, we're like, oh, I don't know where I was rotated before. We just press R and it takes us back to that. That's awesome. So now we've got quite a nice little camera control system there. And you can see that code is much easier, much simpler. So yeah, that's that ticked off. If you give me 1 second, I'm just going to take a quick pee break. I am back. So yeah, let's take a look at what's next on the list. Implement click to unlock world chunks, to spawn chunks, build structure system, fix proper graphics, the lighting issue, invocation jump. So the click to unlock world chunks, I guess we could do that. So let's close down some of these ones we don't need. We don't need that anymore. We don't need that. We don't need that. We don't need that. We don't need that. Those are 3 we're dealing with. In fact, we don't need those anymore because we're done with that. This we can completely remove. We did remove the... Yeah. We removed the camera from the player script. Cool. So that's all like that. So implement click to unlock world chunks. So we're going to want to do that in here, I think. Yeah. So So we want to define chunk sizes now, don't we? So we want to go public int chunk width, which is going to be equal to 2, public int chunk height, which is going to be equal to 2 as well. Now what we want to do is we're going to want to create a new function called basically generate chunks. And what I want to do is keep our rendering code together, keep our block code together. There we go. So now we can create one called void generate chunk. And we're going to need an int x, int z, so we know where to generate it. And then what we're going to do is render farm generate. That does call render farm actually. To generate block we could call render block, which means we wouldn't need to do render farm anymore. Remove that and then generate block, and then we're going to do render block. Render farm does everything, but we want to do render block. Render farm is going to do the whole thing, which will be useful for opening up our save files, which was when we can use that function. Otherwise we want to do render block, yeah, so then we can just do render block and then we go x, z, like that. So that should still generate our world. Like that. Cool. Which means we don't even need to call render block anymore. We just do generate block. And it automatically renders for us. Nice. So we can get rid of these logs. We can get rid of that. And sure. .log. Do a warning rather than error, because it's not really an error, is it? Already a block at that. Cool. Well, thinking about it, because the chunks, we're going to need to know which side of the world the chunk we want to generate on, so we know whether to go which way down the x and z, you know, whether we go negative or positive depending on where the chunk is. We don't want to assume that. So the other option is when we click, unless we provide a direction, we could provide a direction for it to generate the chunks from a specific set of blocks, and then that way it knows where to go. That's probably the best way to go, I think. So maybe if we create public enum world direction, we'll call it, and then we're going to have north, south, east, west, generate chunk, and then we're going to need a world direction. So then from here we are going to go for so this is where it's greater than. If it's greater than or less than. How are we going to tie that into direction when we do our for loop? Well, we just do an offset, don't we? We would offset it. Yeah. So we always go up, but then we can do an offset. Yeah. So then for int z is equal to x. No. Not z. For int z1, yeah, z1 is equal to z, or no, tell you what, we do cz for chunk z is equal to 0, cz is less than chunk height, yep. Make use of that chunk height, cz plus plus, green chunk height does not exist. Chunk. Chunk is without C. What is going on tonight? There we go. So chunk width, chunk height equals 2. Yep. So that, and then for int CW equals to 0. CW is less than chunk width. CW plus plus. And then from here, we are going to do generate block, and this is where we're going to need our, yeah, that's fine. So z plus x plus c x, not cw, cx, 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 x plus cx, z plus cz. Oh. And this is where we want to do random.range of block types dot length. There we go. So now generate any random blocks we've got. Generate block is in chunk size, and then we want so north is straight up, isn't it? So if we run the game, because north is straight up, which means well, north is technically this way because our camera's rotated. So north is technically this way. So that's going to be, if we come back into our scene view, (28, 27), yeah, so that is our Z. That's increasing, isn't it? So yeah, so if it's so now with our direction we want, so basically north is going to be plus, so Z plus, south is going to be Z minus, east is going to be the X minus, and then west is going to be X plus, right? Just going west, which is this way. That's 26, 27, 28, yep. So that's correct. So now what we want to do for generating chunks that's north, we're completely fine to just continue as is. Just thinking about this actually, because we're not going to want to offset both axes, are we? Because we may want to go that way or that way depending on where our chunk's going to get spawned. Unless when we do our selection, that actually has stored in it the coordinates of the slots available, and then it just does a for loop into that. It'd be nice to actually specify though places to generate chunks rather than just manually doing a block. It would be nice, so I want just one function that does it. So now we need to figure out, because it's alright saying we want to generate it in the north direction, we want to go out this way, but then do we want to generate it going this way or this way, which then adds a second layer of direction. So how do we specify that? Because we could just say, oh, generate a chunk here, the end of this. But I suppose we could always go towards the right when generating chunks. But if the block's already there, then it just doesn't get rendered. Yeah, so always go to the right when rendering chunks, but its direction is outward. That's determining when we do that. Yes, that's what we're going to do. That's how we're going to handle it. So it's only really the oh no, we do need to offset it based on that. Yeah, so world direction north is fine. I suppose we could set a default, couldn't we? We could set a default here that says dot north, and then we could say if direction equals world direction dot south, then we want to we want to minus equal chunk height, like that. If else if direction is equal to, well, we could switch. Let's do a switch case here. So switch direction because that also means we can do case world direction dot north, which is also our default, I guess. Default, nothing happens. Case world direction dot south. Let's just set all these up first. Case world direction dot east, break, and then case world direction dot west, and then break there. So we're doing nothing for that south. Then we want to do that's when we do z minus equals chunk height. Well, I suppose really because when we're manually selecting it, we can just have the origin preset, can't we? So then perhaps we could have another thing that says bool use direction, which is equal to false, I guess. Because when we actually do it, our selection will probably have on it a set coordinate, because we're going to bring up squares of 4, and we can always do the bottom left as the starting coordinates, and that way it doesn't care about a direction, because it's always going to go out that way. Yeah. I'm just trying to think if we ever want this whole direction system in there in the first place. Is that going to benefit us at all? I mean, really, this is just for random testing. Okay, so we'll keep the direction comments in there. And then, do we want to handle... I'm just trying to think if this is ever going to be useful to us in the future. Because we're always going to be manually choosing. It's not going to be randomly generated or automatically done. We're always going to be selecting what we want to unlock. And if we do need to do it automatically, we could probably do calculations then. Right. Okay, yep, so we're just going to have this, and we're going to say always generate in a northeast direction. Direction below for reference if we ever want to use direction nor generation. There we go, that works. Always generate northeast direction. Directions below for reference if we ever want to use directional generation. I will keep the world direction in there because we could potentially use that later on. But that's fine. That's going to work. That will just work then. So now what we need to do is we need to do our unlock prefab thing. So we go to the scene, create an empty, reset. This is going to be called our chunk unlock preview. Why do I keep calling chunk? Honestly. Then inside of here we are going to do 3D object cube scale. Let's just do point. Well, I guess we could do 0.75, couldn't we? To show what it's going to be like. But we want this to be... I mean, it's going to need to scale based on our chunk size, isn't it? Because that's actually going to be 2 out that way. Which is fine. And then we're going to go to materials and let's just call this chunk preview. We're going to create a new material and this is going to be called chunk preview. Opaque, transparent, and we're going to set alpha be about that. So imagine that. Yeah, that'll do. So the alpha's about halfway. So that's that, that's that. We're going to want logic on there as well. So we want to create a script on here called C# script, and we're going to call it new script, and this is going to be chunk unlock. What? Yeah. And then prefabs. This is our unlock prefab. player prefab public game object chunk preview prefab. I'm going to create a new function called void preview chunks. Cool. And then we can just, for now, we can just put an update in here that says, you know, if input dot get key down key code dot y, then we want to do a chunk preview chunks even. There we go. So now what we need to do is we need to spawn this for every bit on the outside of the world I guess divided by that. So we need to do int chunks x is equal to well, we need the current amount of blocks that are in that are not null. We don't really have to do a loop through the array to do that. Can we just say, can we just get everything that's not null in the array for dimension 0? Does that work? Is that what we can do? Let's try have a look. Let's try googling this. So we can do C# 2-dimension array get get length of I'll say null values, but maybe not. Count number of non-null matrix elements. That's exactly what I want. Numeral range generate row indexes. Gives the number of elements long dimensions. Okay, apparently this will work. So we could say enumerable dot range. Is there something I'm missing? System.link. That's it. Dot range, and this is saying basic 0 to blocks dot get length, which is obviously that, because that's what this is doing, isn't it? Render farm, yeah. Dot count I then goes to blocks I 0 does not equal null. And then we should end up basically saying debug.log, there are chunk x blocks in x direction. I know, because we should end up with 5. Zero blocks in x direction. Oh, 0 I. And that should be 1. And technically that should have worked though, because it should have given us the other way around. 0 blocks in x direction. Okay. Unless we do I there are 0 blocks. What's that even doing? Oops. Does not equal null. Also, I want to do that there. I wanted to clean that up earlier. So we've done that. Now I need to figure out DMOR's answer. Which is that trying to use a new, or perhaps I'm just not seeing what I'm doing. Here's my exact code and receiving it. It's type used like a variable, used not just enumerable. Count enumerate x count does not equal null. X equals 0. So that's column index to check. But I do want to check that. That's the thing. Or what if I do 26? Because I know there's going to be blocks in there. 0 blocks. I. Y. 0 blocks. Maybe we need to do that. Yeah. That needs to go through the whole thing, doesn't it? You're going to need to loop through the whole thing. Because that's not just in one. It's going to need to go through every single thing, isn't it? which is what I need, which is what I was trying to avoid doing this, where you go int z equals 0, z is less than max width, well, x plus plus, and then you move that into there. Chunks x equals 0, and then that's where you would put x. Well, no, you would do z. Max height, and then you would loop in that direction, wouldn't you? Zero blocks. This could work though, because actually what we want to say is we want to do it around each point of the world, don't we? So we need to get the corners. That's what we need to do. We need to get the corners of the world and then loop through there. Boop, boop. We need to get it at the corners. So we need to loop through and basically just say we need to loop through and then just say to this point where, well, the place where that is our starting point, then our last point going to be that, isn't it? So that's where we'd actually need to go. We do this. But we could have multiple corners if we've got bits of the world that are out. So now, we can't just assume there's 4 corners, because if it's you get adding chunks on, that's going to change the shape to something that's going to have more than just 4 corners. So how do we get around the outside of our world? Because we need to look at everything that's been generated and get the corners of our generated world. So well, it's every outside edge, isn't it? We could use the box colliders on the blocks to get the bounds, but would that work actually? But then it's still going to be an odd shape, isn't it? And that's where we want to do, rather than having multiple box colliders, that's where we then want to build up a arrow mesh collider, I suppose, wouldn't it? Which means the whole thing would be a single mesh. I guess we could do it. using the box colliders, we just do a loop through. We're just going to need to know. I'm just thinking if you've got odd shapes though, they're gonna count. It's still gonna. That's where the mesh colliders come in handy. Because it lets you do the whole. Because if we had, if we do, let's have a look. Physics, capsule collider, character joint, configurable joint, mesh collider, terrain collider. Layout. Don't know if there's anything in here that's going to help us really. Video player, interesting. Unity get outside edge of all box colliders. Unity combine colliders. I have to merge the meshes. Combine meshes. Because we have that. It's a mesh renderer, that's a mesh renderer. Okay, I think I get this. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to end the stream here. I'm going to have a little play of this off screen to get myself familiar with it, and if I get anywhere then obviously I will we'll probably carry on stream tomorrow, something where we left off, or we'll move on to something else, but I think I might need to go down the mesh generation route, or combining the meshes rather than using individual blocks, which would be better for performance anyway. I'm sure there's a way to do it without this either. This was probably easier, but I need to have a look at either methods and play around with it off screen, I think, to familiarize myself with this. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. So I'm going to end the stream here. So thank you to everyone that's tuned in and watched, and I should be streaming again tomorrow, hopefully, depending on how far I get with this and what I want to do. So yeah, I should see you guys tomorrow, if not Sunday. If you join the Discord using the link in the channel, you will be able to get updates when I go live. But thank you all for watching, and stay tuned for next time. Bye.